Today on the official Marvel podcast, we chat with supervising sound editor Jonathan Greber to learn all about the sound design process for Marvel Animation's Marvel Zombies.
People are getting shot with arrows, blood's coming out, there's people vomiting. There's like all gross stuff constantly happening. So you need to make it sound realistic, but you don't need to like focus on it if it's too much.
Plus, we've got a roundup of all the creepy content coming to Marvel Rivals and Marvel Snap this spooky season as we are joined by Marvel Games' Tom Tao and Phil Cooper.
We really upgraded everyone's abilities to where you can just fight back hundreds of zombies at a time.
I'm Raylo.
I'm Langston Belton.
And this is the official Marvel podcast.
So, Beta Ray Low, my friend, when you think of the sound of Marvel Zombies, what comes to your mind first? Is that your first take? We're going to go with that's one first take.
That's my only take.
Okay, interesting.
Brains.
Okay, that's good. Classic zombie exclamation. Very good. Well, it's very interesting. Well, my mind goes straight to the squelching sound that the rotten flesh of these undead monsters makes whenever they get taken out, especially like that moment when Red Guardian back slams zombie Captain America onto the ground and explodes and is suddenly everywhere.
I literally just got chills thinking about that all over again. Captain America suddenly everywhere.
Yeah, past tense. Yeah, right. Well, recently, fellow official Marvel podcast host Anthony Carboni sat down with the supervising sound editor for Marvel Zombies, Jonathan Greber, to talk about designing the sound for the series, including all your favorite zombie grunts, wails, and, of course, squelching. Let's listen.
I am excited to be joined here by Jonathan Greber. He is a supervising sound editor on Marvel Zombies. You've also worked on I Am Groot, X-Men 97. You were on Eyes of Wakanda. You're all up in Marvel animation, man.
You know what? I love it. It's just a lot of fun. And so we did I Am Groot, the season 2, and it was really great. But the real one was the X-Men, and it was challenging. We had fun. We kept it light. And so from there, we did Wakanda. And then from there, it was Marvel Zombies, which for me, I was just so stoked to do this because I've been a huge zombie dude, like since back in the day with Romero and everything zombie but I still wanted to do a zombie something because I had never done it. So yeah, so that was a real treat.
That's so great. And so for people who are not as familiar with the nuts and bolts of everything, what does a sound editor do on an animated series?
Basically, there's different flavors. If you think about sound editing, there's dialogue, there's sound effects, and there's Foley. So a effects editor would look at their show and start pulling sound effects that would be applicable. So the sound effects editors has to just start from the basics. Okay, where are we? We're inside. Is there a room tone? Is there this? And they're adding everything to guns and doors, all the way up to crazy sound design, monsters, all that stuff. Foley is, the way I describe it, is specific sound effects that you can't pull from a library. You have to perform live. Most people think of like feet, like the walking all the feet, that's all Foley. We all do all that. But anything you pick up, you put down, you pick up your cup, you put it down, we have a Foley spot. So they're going to cut all of that after the Foley artists perform it. They're going to edit all that. The effects editors are going to do all that effects editing. What I do, in addition to supervising, is I do the dialogue. So I take everything that is spoken word and I edit it. So on an animated movie, everything is theoretically recorded in an ADR booth. So theoretically, it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier to work with. It's different than a live action movie because a live action movie, they're outside, they're shooting, they're recording. Anything can happen. There can be noise you don't want to hear. A plane could fly overhead. Someone could say the wrong line. Whatever it is, you are editing that, and then you are fixing whatever you need to add into it. And on this show, the dialogue editor, you cut all the lines for all the characters, but then there's also ADR. If that comes in later, you have to make that match and make it sound the same. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the process of what we do editing before we mix it.
For people who are wrapping their heads around the process of this, things like animation, main story, main shots are pretty locked down by the time they get to you, right?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, yes. I think Zombies, it was really locked down. And I should mention right now, my partner, when I do all these, is an amazing sound designer named Kirsten Mate. She is incredible with the sounds she comes up with. But sometimes they'll say, hey, right here, there's going to be like these tentacles that come out and they go like right to left and then this thing comes down. And sometimes we're expected to design that. And you can't if you can't see it. That's the only thing. So at least if you can see a rough animation of just what's kind of happening, we can kind of work with that. But I would say generally, Marvel's pretty locked down and things are very, very close.
Is that something that you sort of love, is the ability to sometimes step in and get your hands dirty and do a little bit of the design stuff too? Or is that something where it's like, oh no, we're in a sort of a crunch and I've got to do it quickly? Or how do you like doing that?
Well, it's kind of great. I love doing what I can do with that. And again, Kirsten is in charge. We work very closely together, but she's fantastic. I don't need to do any sort of scrutinizing. We work real well together. But, if there's something that we can do that's weird or that sells what we're trying to do, that can utilize the dialogue. And on Zombies, it was like a whole other level. And that's because they made it really clear when we started, there's zombies, obviously, but there's also scion zombies. And there's also this other kind of like archetypal zombie that's going to do this other thing. And all of this stuff has to be performed by humans. I mean, still have the notes of all the different monsters that we're doing and sort of keeping them separated and distinct and having these actors just going insane with their voices to get it. And it came out great. One of the really weird things is our director is super into, I don't really know how to categorize it. It's not screamo, but it's like death metal.
Yes.
Where like the singer goes like, whoa, I can't do it, but like really insane screams. And he was like, clear, I want to incorporate those sort of death metal screams into some of these zombies. And everyone was kind of like scratching their heads like what are you how are we going to do this? We got this guy who is a death metal singer to come in and to do a bunch of these kinds of efforts and screams and shrieks. But then we had everyone do it. So we had this like bin, and some actors could do it better than others. Some people just shocked us and surprised us. And so it's not obvious in a like, what's going on here? This sounds like death metal way, but it's this other flavor of kind of something you're not expecting that was just an idea of the director that they wanted to do. We made it work, and it was nothing that any of us would have ever come up with. But it was a lot of fun to do.
That's amazing. It sounds like y'all got to work on a bunch of different creatures, monsters, zombies here. Was there one that when you saw it, you were like, oh, this is the one. This is the monster for me?
There's a sort of culminating scene where the Red Guardian is fighting Captain America, but it's not Captain America anymore. It's zombie Captain America. And that scene it's just crazy. The scene is super fun, but it's super intense. So we weren't really sure which way we were going to go. If it's going to be like really intense and gory, or is it going to be kind of funny? And, we work with Matt Wood. He was Captain America on this one. He can get a really cool higher register when he needs to. And that was really working for this. And so it started off one way. And by the time we finished it, it went into a slightly more gentle, funnier version of it, but it is a really funny scene. And so that's probably my favorite in the show.
My destiny has arrived. He's drawn to his equal. Tries to surprise me. Ha ha! I hear you.
Boo.
Where's the other half of you?
Do you tend to like the more complex stuff? Was there something that was like a real scene or environment that was kind of complicated for you to get your head around, where you were like, I'm glad I solved that puzzle?
Yeah, like the underwater parts were difficult because we would do a thing where the camera perspective goes underwater. Like now you're underwater and you're seeing these banshees, but there's also a lot of other things going on. There's explosions and whatnot. So like how do we hear these banshees cut through? And two, first of all, how do they sound? But how do we make it watery sounding? Because like, you can't just sound the same. So there's got to be this like, this sort of feeling of viscosity and the sound doing some slightly weird things. So we played a little bit with like, you start playing with the frequency range and you start saying, okay, well, let's make the banshees a little bit higher pitched, maybe to cut through that low end of the water. So that was really satisfying once we dialed that in.
Nice. So this obviously has got a lot of monsters. It's got a lot of everything, but it's also a particularly gory show. If it's anything like the comics, was there a gross sound that was like too real, too gross, where you got like a little note where it's like, hey man, that may be too much?
All the time. People are getting shot with arrows, blood's coming out. There's people vomiting. There's like all gross stuff constantly happening. So you need to make it sound realistic, but you don't need to like really focus on it as a central point if it's too much. So we try to ride that hand of like, let's make it gross. Let's make it sound really great though. And so it would really kind of be like, let's make that, sometimes they'd be like, let's make that more gross. Let's make that arrow impact into their head more of a doing and harder. So then we hear the of the blood really, sometimes it would be like that. And we're like, whoa, okay. Sometimes it would be like, let's just turn down all the wetness here. There's a little bit too much when Cap and Red Guardian are flinging all around the room. Maybe we don't need to hear a splat on the wall of the blood coming off them the whole time. And yeah, it's gross in a really fun Halloween-y kind of way. I think it's going to be satisfying for people.
Couldn't we audition some zombie sounds for you?
I would love to hear your best take.
Okay. So I'm going to try like a
decent, pretty good. I can add you to the bin of all my death metal screams that I had to pull out.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you so much, Jonathan Greber, for joining us today.
Hey, this was a slice. It was a lot of fun and love to do it again sometime.
All episodes of Marvel Zombies are streaming now on Disney+.
All right, Ray, shifting gears. I know you really love the summer skins over on Marvel Rivals, which I've been getting back into.
Me, Langston. I keep seeing you playing in that Luna Snow cool summer skin. So let's talk about how much you love the summer skins. I'm all on spooky season right now. So I don't know, I'm ready to slip into something a bit more ghoulish, gruesome, maybe even ghastly.
Okay. I pick up what you're putting down. We'll just wait until you hear about the ongoing Marvel Zombie season over on Marvel Snap. We are embracing all of those gory details of your favorite undead variants, plus learning how event content is made. So joining us now to expand on this is fellow official Marvel podcast host Quinn Lamar as he sits down with Marvel Games' Phil Cooper and Tom Tao. Check it out.
I'm here with Tom Tao and Phil Cooper, both senior product development managers at Marvel Games, to talk about the creepy content coming to Marvel Games. Welcome to the pie, guys. To start, how about you tell us, what does a senior product development manager at Marvel Games do? How about you answer that, Tom?
I've been with the team about 6 years now, and I've kind of done the whole gambit of everything. And in a nutshell, the Marvel PD managers, we are traditional licensors to a certain extent. We work with our different development partners to develop the best Marvel game possible, making sure that it feels good, it feels Marvel. The ideal way in which we work with the partners is to help them develop and grow into the best Marvel team possible. We are firm believers in, if you really develop and fulfill the Marvel fantasy, make sure the characters are punched in the right way and all the locations and places feel magical and mystical, you will have a very, very fun game. And it sounds easy, but it's very hard for some partners to get to that level. And then we're the ones that really help them try to find that confidence and develop something.
And so how about you, Phil?
I think what producers do, it really is a little bit of everything. It's gameplay, it's art design, it's the narrative, it's also the marketing, looking at the KPI, the business side of things. And so you really have to summon kind of every part of you that grew up as a gamer and a Marvel fan. That's kind of what a producer does. So it could be, honestly, anything that touches the business.
So Tom, let's talk about the new Marvel Zombies season on Marvel Snap. What characters can we expect to see get the zombie treatment for the game?
What we're seeing right now for new characters is Zombie Scarlet Witch, Colonel America, Zombie Mr. Fantastic, and the Zombie Galacti as well. The Marvel Snap team wanted to have a whole gamut of the whole zombie experience, from the individual characters to whole teams. Their whole vibe this season is to try to build a horde. And how do you make that zombie horde feel as big and terrifying as possible?
That's really cool. So how do these cards differ from their non-zombie counterparts or the previous zombie themed variants?
Marvel Snap has been out for a little bit, and they've definitely made a lot of various different characters at this point, some of which are probably starting to stack up on top of one another. Every single time we have new seasons now, though, we want to find new and fun, interesting ways to build out the fantasy. So the focus of this season is to build the biggest zombie horde you can, and then just completely overwhelm the different locations that you're trying to conquer with your deck. So Zombie Scarlet Witch is going to be very different from normal Scarlet Witch, so on and so forth, to bring it back in a really big way.
This season is going to be different compared to previous season. What's the key difference with this season compared to previous?
Every single season just aims to do its own thing again. So with this one, it really is just trying to fulfill that Halloween fantasy. I think the other ones have been explorations of different team dynamics, like the Fantastic Four First Steps was an exploration of super science, retro futurism, and all in on the Fantastic Four. This one, we are switching gears entirely to spooky mode. And we want to and the art too is fully embodying a lot of that energy as well. How do we show these iconic characters just become the most body horror messed up versions of themselves? That's a cool thing about Marvel Snap. They can switch gears so quickly from one thing to another.
It's spontaneous and you can be more of an individual with it. And I really like that about the game personally. So Phil, maybe you can discuss what's coming up for Marvel Rivals.
So we're also doing some Marvel Zombies tie-in. It's a first-time feature, not only for Rivals, but I think for the hero shooter genre in general. We're implementing a new arcade mode that's PvE-based around and as Tom mentioned, it's based on the comics and that one episode from What If and this year's show as well. The story, the narrative's a little bit different, and I won't spoil that. But PvE mode. So Rivals in general, right? In every hero shooter, it's there's a high level of intentionality to what you do. Specific abilities are used for specific moments. Teamwork is important, coordination, strategy, all that kind of stuff. With the Zombies mode, you're going to basically see more of a free-for-all approach, more of a spray and play where you're kind of fighting back the zombie hordes in a PvE mode. So it's single player. And so similar to the comics and the show, as all good zombie stories do, it begins with a virus. And most people are turned into zombies and some people are not. And similar to the show, Wanda is kind of the big bad. Distraught with the grief of losing vision even after becoming a zombie, she's kind of the so-called zombie queen of the dead, and she's out to wreak havoc. And so the survivors, got to come together and figure out how to live. And so for this mode, what we've done is we've really upgraded everyone's abilities because, again, back to the intentionality of an actual strategy-based hero shooter match, we've kind of thrown that aside a little bit, and everyone's been given abilities that are upgraded to where you can just fight back hundreds of zombies at a time.
So Marvel Rivals is known for its amazing character skins, so many alternate costumes and cosmetics. Can you tell us about any zombie skins in the game?
There will be a couple of zombie costumes for Wanda and also for Blade, which is pretty sick. And then in addition to that, we're doing some sort of Halloween themed. but it's more like Day of the Dead themed. The first one is based on Dia de los Muertos, and then Obon for Japan, they're both celebrations of the dead. And so Namor and Penny Parker are getting 2 costumes that we worked on for a few months, and they both came out really beautifully. So it's like in Coco when you go to the land of the dead, when you're thinking about that color palette, sort of the vibrancy and like the skull and flower iconography and stuff like that. They both look super nice, and I'm really proud of what we've put together.
So are there any other characters that surprised you with how scary their Halloween counterpart became during development?
Yeah, the most surprising was Penny.
There are some Marvel Snap cards, too, that really freaked me out. The one in particular I could think back to right now is there was a Mr. Fantastic zombie, and I don't know why I never thought about it, but it perfectly would make sense. But there's this card right now. His bones are all elongated and messed up and kind of like super long. Every bone in his body seems contorted and everything. And it's like, that is some Junji Ito body horror scary stuff, man.
So any other exciting news that you can share about what's coming with Marvel Games this holiday season? I'll start with you, Tom.
I want to give out shout outs to other cool Halloween activations we're doing in Marvel Contest of Champions. During the month of October, they're giving away a bunch of free superheroes that are all spooky and Halloween themed. Dracula's coming. They all have their own skill set and everything. And also shout out to Marvel Strike Force, who are introducing a whole new Brimstone team that's all scary, mystical, arcane characters. So you have Damon Hellstrom, Living Mummy, Elsa Bloodstone, just to name a few. And they're going to be a whole new team with new synergies and everything that will help players shake up their strats when they go tackle the arena and beyond.
Okay, so I asked the same thing to you, Phil. What are you excited about that you can share with us?
So for Halloween, Mystic Mayhem, Green Goblin is coming to the game. So Norman, who basically is just like a walking Halloween costume, he will be coming to the game. And so his story chapter will be added, and that's a brand new character. And I haven't seen Norman in a game in a while, so I'm pretty excited about that. In addition to that, we have outfits on that side too that are sort of creepy, ethereal, kind of Doctor Strange. And then we have a Tony and a Wanda that are kind of inspired by like Lovecraft stuff. You know, we're talking about like Cthulhu and stuff like that. So pretty creepy sort of metal outfits coming out for Mystic Mayhem. Most of our games are celebrating Halloween as we celebrate every holiday.
Sounds like there's a lot of dope stuff coming out. So I do have one question I want to leave you guys with, and it is probably the most important question. What is your favorite Halloween candy?
The most superior the Michael Jordan of candy is the Reese's Take 5 collaboration. And here's why. Sweet and savory, soft and crunchy. It's everything you need. 10 out of 10 candy.
Okay, so Tom, what's your answer?
I love the classic Reese's peanut butter cup. The normal sized Reese's peanut butter cup has the perfect chocolate to peanut butter ratio.
I have no notes for that. Thank you both for coming and talking to us, and take care.
Thank you so much, Quinn.
In Marvel Animation's What If Season 1, Episode 5, things are looking pretty grim for Earth's mightiest heroes. It's been about 2 weeks since the zombie outbreak began, and with heroes like Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Widow already down, the rest of the world barely seems to stand a chance. Yet there is a small group of survivors who continue to fight the good fight. Among them is Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, and despite the bleakness surrounding them, he still manages to remain positive. When fellow survivor Janet Van Dyne asks him how he manages to stay upbeat, Spidey responds with the following message.
Practice, I guess. My mom, Dad, Uncle Ben, Mr. Stark. Now happy. I've lost a lot. But my Aunt May says, used to say, that if we don't keep smiling when they can't, then we might as well just be gone too. And well, they'd want us to keep going.
You can catch this episode as well as other episodes of Marvel Animation's What If streaming only on Disney+.
Next week on the official Marvel podcast, we will be joined by Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan as they share the latest on the upcoming comic series Marvel Zombies Red Band.
This is us trying to have the most fun we can with this, and I'm excited for people to give it a read and go, oh wow, they really just let them off the leash.
In the meantime, make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you find podcasts and tell a friend about us.
Well, that is it for today. This episode of the official Marvel podcast was hosted by Ray Lowe and me, Langston Belton, featuring Anthony Carboni and Quinn Lamar.
Our producers are Jasmine Estrada and Anita Flores.
Big thanks to our senior manager of audio production and development, Brad Barton, and production manager, Emily Godfrey.
Mixed by Justin Harris.
Theme music by Ida Akbal.
Executive producers are Larissa Rosen and Jesse Berger.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next week.